Cheryl Todd here from 2019 SHOT Show in fabulous Las Vegas, bringing you Gun Freedom Radio and our friend Miss Liz Lazarus. Now, Miss Liz is an author extraordinaire. She has written 2 psychological thrillers, Free of Malice and Plea for Justice. And Little Bird told me that you're working on number 3.
I am. I'm about 50% done with the 3rd book. This one is also told from 2 points of view. My protagonist has a restaurant. Her husband has just disappeared, and a woman is killed right in front of her in her restaurant. So her point of view, and then the police detective, Detective Grant, who's following the murder investigation. And part of the book, my character learns to shoot a shotgun. So as you know, as I learn, I have my characters learn. So part of what I'm doing here at SHOT Show is learning, checking out all the different shotguns, deciding which one my characters are going to have.
I like it. And so that's a good segue to explain why are we standing in the Sig Sauer booth at SHOT Show?
Well, yeah, so my second book, Plea for Justice, that came out in 2018, my character in that book learns to carry. So as I went through the process and tried out different carry firearms, I ended up choosing a SIG, a 938. Now, that was before the 365 came out, or that might have been a different choice. But she learns to carry the SIG, and she has a crossbreed holster. She has a hiding Hilda bag. So as I write the stories and find products that I like and endorse, I incorporate them into the book.
That's so interesting. And, you know, those of us that maybe aren't quite gun savvy yet, but we're gun curious, as we're being entertained and filled with suspense as we're reading your books, we are also being kind of drawn into the gun lingo, right? And the gun community, and giving us a chance to feel like we understand a little bit more about, well, so a holster's a holster, right?
No,
it's not.
It's not. And you know, I've been on that journey myself, because with the first book, Free of Malice, that came out in 16, my character learned to shoot. And I went with a friend, not even a firearms instructor, to the range to write that part. Hence why in that book, it used to have the word clip instead of magazine. Irritated me to no level. So we finally in the last reprint changed that. And while we were at it, we took out jam and put in malfunction. So I've been learning the lingo, and I've been meeting great people, a lot of women especially, that have been educators to me to make sure that I don't do things incorrectly. As I say, you can never watch a movie again without noticing that something's wrong.
It's true.
I'm getting to that level.
It's true.
Yeah.
And not only are you digging into different equipment that we use with the shooting sports, you're also working through some issues that a lot of people experience in their life. Things like PTSD. So talk to us about those elements of your book.
Right. Well, my books are thrillers. They're psychological legal thrillers, and there is the gun element, secondary element. But my character in the first book is a journalist. She's attacked in her home, and she has PTSD. So I based it on what really happened to me when I was attacked in college. And so I write about it, and though I didn't go through therapy, the writing was my therapy. I put her through a unique therapy called EMDR. So you learn about therapy, you learn about safe gun ownership, you learn a lot about the criminal justice system through the research I've done. People ask me if I'm a lawyer, and I'm like, no, I'm an engineer, but I'm curious. And so I do a lot of investigation as I write my books.
That is so awesome. Now, both of the books that are actually out right now have hit bestseller.
Yeah.
Right?
Who would have known?
On Amazon?
Who would have known?
I know. So, it's a gun book, but it's not a gun book, right? And it's written from a perspective of, somebody that's trying to understand things for yourself. And so, did you expect to have the kind of success that these books have had?
No, I joke that you can't tell if your baby's ugly. You write the book, you put it out there. There were days when I read it where I'm like, oh wow, that's good. And there are other days when you're rereading and I'm like, oh, that's not good. And the crazy thing, when Plea for Justice came out, it hit 79 on Amazon's bestseller list. But that same week, Plea for Justice hit Free of Malice hit 60.
So one helped the other.
One helped little brother and big brother are helping each other.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love it. So with the brands that you're working with, how did those connections end up happening? Did you already, own maybe a SIG, and that's why your main character went that direction, or how did that end up developing?
Yeah, so when Jackie learned to carry, I actually did what I should have done and didn't do in the first book. So when Jackie learned to carry, I went with a friend of mine who was a firearms instructor. So we tried out all kinds of firearms, ones she owned, ones that we rented, and I write about it in the book. Not meaning to diss anybody, but as I tried the different firearms, I noticed which ones are easy to clean, which ones have recoil that doesn't feel like it's too much for me. Looking at the different ammunition, all the things you have to think about when you choose a firearm. I like the SIG the best, the 938. So since I chose it, that's what I did for my character. In the first book, I liked the Ruger the best, so that's what I chose for my character. So it's been a journey of me. Whatever's in the book is something I like and I endorse.
That's so genuine, and when it comes from a genuine place, I think that just really follows through and carries through to the reader. But it makes such an interesting point about the fact that we're standing in a room that it's huge, right? It's like a four-floored city filled with different manufacturers, and they all have great things about them. But just like a great pair of shoes, what fits my foot and my lifestyle best in shoes may not work for you, and handguns and holsters and all of that kind of work in the same way.
When it was like that with the holster, I tried lots of different ones, and I was fortunate that my instructor had a lot. We went to a store and tried them off the shelf, and I like the crossbreed, so that's what I chose. And then I paired up with it. I called him and said, "Hey, you're in my book. I can always make it a fictional name if you don't want that, or we can leave it." And everybody's always been just gracious and said, "Oh, leave it. We love being featured."
Absolutely.
I was just at a book signing with Crossbreed, so it's just been a great partnership with some of these.
That is fantastic. So the fact that you didn't start out kind of being a gun gal, right? And now that you're kind of in this world, have you experienced? What has been your experience kind of coming into this world? And every once in a while, something flares up in the news, and then the gun issue is one of those things that is a hot button for people. Have you experienced any negativity there with the book or the writing or your journey?
I would say the majority, and this is by far, 90+%, people have been great. They appreciate the book. When they read the book, they appreciate it. It's about education. It's about safety. It's about learning about the law. So I haven't had too much of that. Now, granted, I'm an author, right?
Sure.
So I'm not selling firearms or even holsters or anything like that.
Sure.
The only thing that kind of swirled that was crazy was during the Kavanaugh hearings. A lot of people assumed because I had been attacked, and I wrote a book about being attacked, that I would just automatically be for Ford. And I wasn't for Kavanaugh or against Ford. My point, when I put it on Facebook, which was probably a mistake, I said, what about innocent till proven guilty?
Yeah.
Where are all the other women coming out of the woodwork?
Yeah.
This happened so many years ago. The memories are off. And so my point was, let's not jump to conclusions on either side.
Sure.
And there was just 2 days of swirl on that.
Yeah.
So, but that was
gonna happen.
It was just people's opinions.
Exactly. But when your books are plea for justice,
Yes.
right? I mean, your mind is about evidence, right? Your mind is about the things that you were discussing on Facebook, and I think it makes perfect sense. And I think that Facebook and forums like that, and even the stuff that you talk about in your book, are really good seed for intelligent conversations, and it is for those of us that have open and curious minds. So I appreciate the work that you're doing. I appreciate that you put yourself out there on Facebook. You know what I mean? Because it gets harder and harder to do that sometimes. But if all of us who want to have positive discourse leave the forum, then what do we have left?
Yeah, and it's at the end of the day, it's about the best compliment I've ever gotten on these books, both of them, was that I entertain and I educate.
Absolutely.
And if I found it curious and interesting,
yes,
whether it was how jury selection goes or how to choose a firearm, if I found it interesting, I thought the reader would find it interesting. And my neighborhood, just right now, there's a neighborhood group of like 400 women, and they've chosen it to be their book club.
I love it.
And a lot of them are not firearms enthusiasts, don't have one in their home, but they're liking it. We're reading Free of Malice. So I'm getting great feedback. So it doesn't mean that you have to be in this community, in this industry, to read a thriller and get information from it.
I love it. You'll learn something accidentally, which sometimes is a fun way to go.
That's, yeah.
So other than the book, what else is on the table for Liz Lazarus? What does the future hold?
Well, so I'm working on my third one. I've met some really cool people here. Probably too soon to talk about, but got some nice pair-ups that might be happening. I do a little bit of consulting on the side. It's
fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time. At SHOT Show, you're meeting, having breakfast meetings at 6:30 a.m. and you're still having dinner meetings at 11 p.m. So they're long days, right?
And I'm on East Coast time.
And you're on East Coast time, and right now we're standing in Pacific time. But it's the place to meet with people face to face, and that's where you really get stuff done. So I know you're running in 100 directions. I won't keep you much longer, but before we go, please tell folks how they can follow your journey, how they can connect with you, how they can buy your books.
So I have a website, lizlazarus.com. That's LIZLAZARUS.com. It has the synopsis of both books, has a trailer, has the theme song that goes with the first one, and links to Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And one fun thing is we just took Free of Malice and made the audiobook, because so many people had asked for it.
Awesome.
So Free of Malice has an audiobook as well as paperback and ebook, and Plea for Justice is in the works to have that as well.
And is it your voice?
Oh gosh, no. No. Professional voice actor.
I love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you again so much. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your writing and sharing part of our world to others that maybe it's foreign to. So I appreciate that. You're a bridge builder.
Well, and thank you for all you do.
Absolutely.
You've created a whole community. So thank you so much.
Liz Lazarus, thank you so much. All right. Well, stick around. We got lots more coming at you from 2019 SHOT Show with Gun Freedom Radio.